spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Pastatime with the Scarish Podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace, this is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And today, we're here with some SCPs for Pastatime.
Indeed we are. So if you don't know what an SCP is, the SCP Foundation is a website that stands for Secure, Contain, Protect, and it is essentially a bunch of cryptid-style creatures or phenomena that people have written in and are supposedly fictional, and they break down letting you know what this creature looks like, what abilities it has, how it can be secured, contained, or protected. There's 3 different classes, which we'll get into as we read. One of them is safe, which means it's safe. One of them means it's dangerous, which I think is Keter. And then Euclid is the most dangerous of all the SCPs. So we're going to be going over 4 of those today. Did you want to go first, Robin, or should I go first?
You can go first.
All right, cool. All right, so the first one that I'm going to be covering is SCP-3313, also known as Poor Richard. So the special containment procedures for 3313 are as follows.
For one, that's Benjamin Franklin.
Well, yes, Robin is looking at a screen that our listeners and viewers cannot see, but she's giving away part of my SCP. So special containment procedures for SCP-3313 is, once recovered, to be kept in a high-value containment chamber on floor 46 of Site 88. This chamber should utilize at least 2 of the extant overlapping Scranton reality anchor fields on that floor to suppress the reality-altering effects of SCP-3313. Individuals are not allowed to come into direct physical contact with SCP-3313. Until recovered, communications from any national or private space program's orbital assets are to be reviewed by Mobile Task Force Kappa-12. The French Courtiers is the name of Kappa-12. For information regarding 3313. Any information recovered in this manner is to be utilized in locating and recovering 3313. 3313-1 is, once recovered, to be kept in a standard humanoid containment cell at Site 19. So now you know what you need to do to catch it. The description is as follows. 3313 is the severed penis of Benjamin Franklin, hereby referred to as 3313-1. Despite having no biological support system, 3313 appears resistant to both damage and decay. When in physical contact with any individual, 3313 provides that individual with reality-altering capabilities roughly analogous with that of a Class 2 reality-altering entity.
It's gross.
But kind of cool. 3313's provided reality-altering capabilities are vocal in nature, and individuals incapable of verbally communicating requests are believed to be incapable of utilizing the object in this manner. Requests made by individuals in physical contact with 3313 are, when within 3313's capacity to grant, fulfilled immediately. These requests are generally fulfilled in an exact and literal manner. 3313 was recovered as part of a previously unknown collection of 3313-1's personal effects from his time in Paris, France. The object's anomalous properties were immediately discovered once the object itself was identified. Foundation DNA testing confirmed the object belonged to either a close relative or Benjamin Franklin himself. Incident Omega-54, however, has provided enough context to conclude that 3313 was in fact Benjamin Franklin's penis. And now we can go into Incident Omega-54. So on July 3rd, 2017, the Chaos Insurgency completed a ritual to resurrect several of the United States Founding Fathers in an effort to complete a coup of the U.S. government. Included in this ritual were George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Alexander Hamilton, and Benjamin Franklin.
You had to say Alexander Hamilton.
There's no other way to say it. Current dossiers recovered by the SCP Foundation indicate that in addition to various anomalous properties possessed by these 5 individuals, Benjamin Franklin possessed no penis. Further information on these anomalous properties may be found in document Omega-54J. All 5 individuals escaped Chaos Insurgency custody by July 6th and are currently at large. Prior to this incident, SCP-3313 was kept in a standard containment chamber in the low-value containment division of Site 88. On July 9th, Benjamin Franklin gained access to Site 88's low-value containment division and was allowed to come into contact with SCP-3313. The guy just wants his dick back. The methods by which this was achieved are still unknown, and audio records of the incident are not available. 4 seconds after physical contact was achieved, SCP-3313 began to generate thrust in a similar manner to that of a chemical rocket engine, and both SCP-3313 and Benjamin Franklin escaped the site upwards. This escape damaged all 8 of the floors above. Though SCP-33-13-1, which is Benjamin Franklin, appears to have avoided physical harm. Current calculations indicate that SCP-33-13 and Benjamin Franklin's acceleration was insufficient to gain true escape velocity. Though the parabola will take several months to complete, the projected landing location is currently unknown. So, what this is saying is that Benjamin Franklin's penis is a magical monkey's paw. And he came back to life in 2017, went and got his dick, and then it took off like a rocket, and him and his dick are currently at large. Which is kind of funny. No pun intended.
Someone wrote this.
I know, and it's so fucking funny.
Someone decided to write something about Benjamin Franklin's penis being absolutely magical.
I wish I could see the moment of inspiration for that person that was sitting there like, I have a good idea for an SCP. Stick with me. It involves Benjamin Franklin and his dick. Do you think he ran this by anyone before he put it up on the internet?
I can't even with this story. It's just, why?
It's so funny to me that this was not only published, but when I looked up funniest SCPs, this one was on every list I could find. And finally I just read it and I'm like, it's going in the show. Shout out to whoever wrote SCP-3313. You made it on Scarish. Congratulations.
Wow.
So, good way, I think, to start the show.
So I think we both kind of picked ridiculous SCPs this episode because my first, well, let me see which one I want to do first here. I'll do this one first. Okay. So, my first SCP I'm going to tell you guys about is SCP-261. It is one of the much older ones. Obviously it's only 200 something.
Right.
This one's rated safe. It's not anything scary.
So this one's rated E for everyone.
It is rated E for everyone. So the description for 261 is a large black vending machine with no front glass panel and a small keypad on the right side.
So we've covered a vending machine before, but it is a different one. I did check to see if we covered 261 in the past.
Okay, cool. So 261 was recovered in Yokohama, Japan, and was brought to the Foundation's attention after investigation of an urban legend about a magic vending machine that was circulating around the internet. So 261 was found in a back alley behind a large shopping center with a handwritten sign saying "out of order" in Japanese taped to it. It had no marks or identification of any kind, and no locals remember when or how it came to be in its current location. Internally, 261 appears to be a basic vending machine equipped to vend food and beverage items. After a key was made and the front door opened, no abnormal materials were found, and it was determined that SCP-261 had never actually contained any food or beverage items. The keypad, while connected and operating correctly, does not activate any of the dispensing mechanisms. When money is placed into 261 and a 3-digit number entered into the keypad, it will vend a random item. It has not accepted any currency other than yen, with rejected currency being deposited in the coin return slot. It is unknown how these items appear. However, SCP-261 will not operate when the door is open or when recording devices are placed inside. The number entered on the keypad has no effect on the item vended, nor has any pattern been detected. Items are always some form of snack food and typically have bright, attention-grabbing packaging. It's capable of operating with no external power supply, but operation in this state will cause unstable vending to occur much more quickly than normal. So if it's not plugged into anything, it'll just start doing a bunch more weird stuff faster, which is odd. If SCP-261 is used several times in a short period of time, or large amounts of money are entered before an item is vended, 261 will start to dispense bizarre items. While still, quote-unquote, food, Their suitability for human consumption is often non-existent. So it doesn't know what to do with itself. It just is like, take this. It looks like food. Don't eat it, though.
Wow.
All right. So a log of items vended during the testing phase. So 800 yen entered for each item. Items being dispensed every 2 minutes. This is what came out. So a Coke Zero. It was a can of Diet Coke. Packaging in English. A bag of Cheetos.
That is not Coke Zero. I hate this SCP. It's a monster.
A bag of Cheetos. A small bag of Cheetos snack food. Packaging in English. Black, which is like that gum. You know how Jess always gives us that gum that's really strong? Yeah, I think that's what that is. A single pack of... Oh, maybe not. This is caffeinated. A single pack of caffeinated chewing gum, which is in Japanese. Because America doesn't have caffeinated chewing gum. Yet. Yan, which is that kind of like snack dessert thing where it has the flavored chocolate or strawberry dip and you stick like pretzel sticks into it. Have you ever had those?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, so a single yan cone with peach dipping frosting, packaging in Japanese. That sounds weird. The Meiji Seika company does not produce this flavor. Okay, so peach yan never existed. So that's why it's weird. Pepsi Dragon Twist, a can of Pepsi Cola with a trace of fruit flavor. Packaging in English. Flavor identified as dragon fruit. Pepsi does not produce this product. Ooh. Oh, man. These are things... I feel like whoever wrote this was like, someone make these things because I want it. You know what I mean?
Ecto Cooler. High C Ecto Cooler. Hasn't been made since the 80s.
I have High C in the fridge. All right. Dark Side Cola. A can, quote-unquote can, with clear plastic sides, packaging in Japanese. Liquid inside is clear. When opened, the liquid appears to react to the air and changes to dark black over a period of several seconds. The black coloration looks like billowing smoke and cannot be reversed. Liquid's taste described as cola with something spicy in it. Either these are like things that did exist at some point or something, you know what I mean? And people wish they wanted it back.
Or this guy's like, no one will hire me for their marketing firm, so I'm going to put all my crazy ideas into an SCP.
The Little Bakery 7 grain. It's a small tube the size of a candy bar with a green button made of aluminum. Packaging in English. When the top is twisted off, a mass of quote-unquote dough is extruded. The dough contains several enzymes and bacteria that have not yet been identified. On contact with air, these cause the dough to rise and bake. Killing the microbes in the process produces a small round loaf of bread weighing 250 grams. It tastes described as good, but chewy. So it's like instant bread, which is weird. It's like if you cracked open those biscuit cans and it just turned into...
That's hilarious. That's a great way to picture it.
Lemon clams. This is a thick plastic baggie with a plastic tube on the side containing water and 12 clams. Packaging in Dutch. Following on package instructions, the plastic tube was cracked like a glow stick.
It's my favorite phrase.
Liquid in the bag flashed to steam, venting from a hole that popped open in the top of the bag, slightly burning a researcher. Steaming finished after 38 seconds, after which clams were found to be fully cooked and infused with a mild lemon flavor. On investigation, clams match no recorded species. Diet Ghost, a can containing an instance of SCP-2107. Man, now I want to know what that is. Packaging was in English. Testing done on this instance provided similar results to other contained instances of 2107. This marks the first time 261 has vended another SCP object. And then the next three here are unknown. They don't know what to name it. It's just, what the fuck is this? So, the first one is a small mesh bag filled with small multicolored pyramids, packaging in an unknown language. Pyramids found to be very hard and unpleasant tasting compared to chalk in taste and consistency. When placed in hot water, these pyramids open and produce strings that quickly dissolve, coloring the water the same shade as the pyramid. Water had no additional taste. So someone had to taste this weird shit.
Yeah, can you imagine being the intern that day at the SCP Foundation where they're like, hey, test this. You might die.
But testing revealed a sharp increase in mineral, carbohydrate, and protein content, with several minerals unidentified at the present time. This content was found to be consistent with the recommended daily intake of nutrients for adult humans. This thing is fucking cool. Researcher ingesting the water reported stomach cramps 2 hours later, but no other effects. So I feel like this vending machine's just like, be healthy. Here you go. You know? Or like, here's some fancy ass food. I can do what I want. You know?
I was very impressed with the clams.
I'm impressed with the instant bread. I want some of that instant bread.
They said it was chewy.
It said it's good,
but chewy.
I mean, you're cool, but annoying. You can have something that's really great, just that has a couple downsides. Just like me, you're like, oh, you're really cute, but you're annoying as fuck.
You're mean as fuck. All the time.
All right, the second thing that's unknown is an aluminum box with a small glass window on the side and a large round button on the top, packaging in an unknown language. Box is seamless and appears to be filled with small round animals covered in fur, each with 3 small paws and a single large eye. Pressing the button causes the inside of the box to rapidly become superheated. No! Cooking the small animals alive! Muffled noises and scratching were heard for several seconds during the cooking process. After 1 minute 30 seconds, the front panel opens and gives access to the now cooked animals. Professor Kane volunteered to eat the animals with no other researchers willing to do so. Taste described as crunchy and very spicy with a small hint of beef. No!
I was surprised it wasn't going to say taste like chicken, because I feel like that is the default.
It's like if they were like, yo, let's just eat all the porgs. You can't eat the porgs.
Yeah, I totally pictured porgs.
They're too cute. Or what are those things from Star Trek? Tribbles.
I would eat a tribble. You'd have to take the hair off of it first. They're very hairy.
Oh my goodness. Okay, the last unknown thing is a tall, thin aluminum can packaging in an unknown language. Opening the can caused a chemical reaction with the liquid inside. The liquid apparently not intended for an oxygenated atmosphere and detonated violently, causing several injuries and killing 2 researchers.
Oh shit. Testing
discontinued and area cleared. Testing area observed to smell like citrus for several days. And that's the end of this SCP-261. I think it's cool, but I think because they kept shoving so much money in such a short amount of time, it didn't know what to make that is of this realm anymore, or this planet, and was just like, this is from another planet, I guess. Here, just take this. You know, it didn't know what to make. Maybe it's some magical creature who's just like sitting around all day thinking of cool things to make people, you know? And so whenever it dispenses something, they're like, here's a cool idea, take that. And then you're like trying to make it churn out all these cool ideas, and it's like, I can't think, just ugh.
It's very interesting.
Bomb.
I found it very fascinating. It's no Benjamin Franklin's dick, but it was pretty good. So, good one.
I want some of those things. I want the instant bread.
I want the clams. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move into my second SCP of the show, and this is SCP-1128, also known as Aquatic Horror. Special containment procedures for this SCP, written descriptions or imagery of SCP-1128's appearance, or videos of the entity breaching, found outside the Foundation are to be destroyed, and Class C amnesiastics, or however the fuck you say that word, amnestics, are to be administered to anyone exposed to such information or showing signs of SCP-1128 contamination. A written description of the entity's appearance is to be kept at site redacted. For experimental purposes...
Why do you always say redacted like that?
Because it's redacted. For experimental purposes only, and is not to be read by anyone other than D-Class used for testing. If exposed, staff are to report immediately for administration of Class C amnesiastics. Mobile Containment Force Kappa 12 has been assigned to intercept and redirect any and all water traffic that passes through their designated patrol area by any means necessary. And now for the description, now that you know how dangerous it is. Also, it didn't say the class of it, but apparently it's Euclid.
It doesn't say the class of it because you didn't notice the picture.
It's because it's a different outlay. It's weird. On my computer, when I looked this one up, it showed the normal SCP Foundation website. When I clicked on it on your computer so that I could have it on this screen, it's this weird format, which is pretty, but it just is different. Anyways, the description of SCP-1128 is an entity that manifests as a massive aquatic predator.
Speaking of manifest.
To anyone given a full... Because Robin's been watching the show Manifest that has so much to do with a massive aquatic predator. To anyone given a full description of the being's appearance through either spoken/written descriptions or visual depictions of the being. So if you know what this thing looks like, it will show up and you will see it. Persons infected by SCP-1128 will initially exhibit no abnormal behavior, though some cases show a general aversion to activities involving bodily immersion in water, such as bathing or swimming. Should subject ever fully be immersed in water, they will disappear completely under the surface of the water, regardless of the water's actual depth. In most cases, subjects will reappear moments later in a panic state and frantically try to leave the water, while in some other cases the water will become polluted with blood and debris, confirmed to be the remains of the subject.
Fucking ew.
Subjects that have reappeared intact claim that they are transported to a vast ocean where they are pursued by SCP-1128. And it's like if you know what this thing is, you become its prey, and you will be teleported to it as soon as you're submerged in water. Interviews with these individuals carries some risk of further SCP-1128 contamination, as descriptions of the being's appearance trigger further infections.
What?
1128 infection can be treated with Class C amnesiastics.
Amnestics.
It sounds so boring saying it that way. As it appears, memory of the entity or descriptions of it are required for its anomalous properties to take effect. And then there's an interview, which I typically don't read with details. So, and the interview is broken down into addendum, so it's not too complicated. So addendum number 2. Tracking devices affixed to D-Class used in SCP-1128 experiments revealed that submerged subjects are transported to an area within the blank ocean. There's only so many of them.
Or redacted.
Oh, my bad. I got yelled at it last time, so I didn't do it. So, redacted ocean. Not far from the coast of Redacted. Further investigation of these coordinates revealed the area to be data expunged. Mobile Containment Force Kappa 12. These ones are called the Sea Devils. They were called something else last time. Has been assigned to keep unauthorized seafaring vessels out of this area at all costs. Addendum number 3. Testing with infected D-Class have shown that wireless communication devices function normally when used by submerged subjects affected by 1128. Interesting. And the next one. Tests involving D-1732, which doesn't appear to be an SCP, who had been used for repeated SCP-1128 testing. So D-1732 is a person, and they were used for 1128 testing without administration of amnestics. Amnestics, whatever, was shown to be able to encounter the entity in bodies of water normally insufficient for bodily immersion. This effect became more drastic over time, with 1732 developing progressively stronger hydrophobic tendencies, claiming to see 1128 from outside almost any body of water encountered by the subject.
So you could be drinking a glass of water
and see it. On the redacted date, which was apparently in the year 2000 something or other, days after initial exposure, redacted days after initial exposure, the subject was violently pulled into a glass of water.
Well, of course I would
by
say glass
redacted.
Of water.
No remains were recovered from the incident. Staff witnessing the event were found to be infected by SCP-1128 and administered the drugs. Containment procedures were then updated to include videos and descriptions of this event, and testing involving extended infection of D-Class was terminated.
Is the experiment log a video?
Experiment log was never done. They never finished their thing. So, yeah, that one's kind of terrifying.
I think it's scary because there's water everywhere. I couldn't
take a shower without stuff getting wet. Couldn't get into a bath. Couldn't drink a glass of water. Like, you'd have to get like a hydro flask, and who wants to drink out of one of those all the time? Can't look into it. Can't do dishes. This isn't sounding too bad all of a sudden. So, yeah, there's a lot of things about this that are terrifying, and the picture of it is like this massive underwater creature that's absolutely terrifying. Like, imagine, if you will, I'm about to infect all of you, the giant crocodile from Jurassic World Alive.
Okay.
If it was more like a really angry Nessie, and then like 10 times larger, which is why it's in like one of the oceans and not one of the smaller bodies of water on the Earth. So, pretty fucked up stuff. Hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you. I've always wanted to be afraid of water.
You're welcome.
So the final SCP that I'm going to talk about in this episode is SCP-2774. And this one is Object Class Keter, which is the most dangerous of SCPs.
I thought Euclid was the most dangerous.
Nope. Keter is the most dangerous.
Oh my god. The Euclid one sucked that dude into a fucking glass of water. What could this thing be?
All instances of SCP-2774 are to be destroyed upon recovery. Web crawler, okay. A03G32 has been set to monitor and scan all forms of online visual media for this SCP and alert recovery teams upon detection. Teams are assigned to monitor internet and live television for this SCP. If detected, recovery teams are to be dispatched immediately. Any personnel who are exposed to an instance of this SCP for more than 5 seconds are to be issued Class C amnestics, which are the things that make you forget, right? It's gotta be. And temporarily...
Yeah. I mean, we had those in my previous story.
Yeah. Temporarily relocated to Site-116. Due to the nature of this SCP, it is recommended that researchers assigned to it have some form of deuteranopia, colloquially referred to as red-green color blindness.
I have a friend. He's the friend who has the great laugh, who has red-green color blindness. I used to have this phone background. No. I used to have this phone background that's like a bunch of light green and light red dots arranged in like a really nice pattern, but in the middle of it, it says, "Fuck the colorblind." And I thought it was funny, and I used to have it on my phone, and one day he asked me, like, "What's your phone background?" It's just like a circle of dots, and he couldn't read it. And I was like, "Oh, you really can't read that?" He's like, "No." So I like put the contrast way up on the picture on my computer. And he's like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, I am colorblind for like light green and light red. It's the most common form." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I feel bad now." So.
Recovery teams are working to recover those affected by SCP-2774 and relocate them to Site-116 to test for a possible cure. Until one is discovered, Site-116 will serve as a permanent residency for all affected persons. Approval for testing subjects in Site-116 must come from the Ethics Committee and Site Overseer, Dr. Martin. Anytime I hear Overseer, I think Fallout, and it's like too much control for one person.
When I hear Overseer, what I think of is StarCraft. Because of the Overlord, but then when you upgrade them to see the stuff that's cloaked...
Oh, are they Overseers?
They're Overseers.
Ah, okay. Subjects kept at the site are to maintain no contact with personnel unless approved by proper parties. What's funny is because... what's funny about this is it says limited and then it's crossed out because it's been like elevated probably from Euclid to Keter. Because before... it was made that no one could come in contact with it. It was that subjects that are kept at 116 were allowed 2 hours a day of social interaction with others, and now they can't. Subjects will be contained in Euclid-level humanoid containment cells as of 10/15/2010, because this is an older SCP, apparently, or something. Subjects are not to have social interaction of any kind. In addition, subjects must not leave their cells until further notice.
Interesting.
Yes. SCP-2774 is any medium which contains SCP-2774-A. SCP-774-A is it's an image of an unknown humanoid entity, presumably wearing a sloth costume.
It's a picture of someone in a sloth costume.
Effects of viewing SCP-2774 set in between 40 to 100 hours after exposure to SCP-2774-A. So once you see the image, 40 to 100 hours after you're exposed, you start feeling things or get affected by them. So those affected will begin to lose the ability to use cognitive functions or make higher level decisions, except for a period lasting about 150 seconds every 24 hours. This period occurs randomly. The image manifests itself in various forms of non-live media, including movies, television, magazines, and in some cases, personally recorded videos or pictures. It's typically located in the background of whatever media it appears in. To date, there have been no instances of SCP-2774 on the internet. A single incident in northern Canada, where the image appeared on live local television, resulted in the relocation of over 4,000 people to Site-116. And remember, once they're there, they're there forever.
It's a lot of people.
So the image only retains its anomalous properties if the image contains hues of red or green. Therefore, those with deuteranopia or other forms of color blindness are not affected by this SCP. So John would be safe.
John. You are safe.
SCP-2774-A is believed to possess properties that are enhanced based on the number of people it affects. Manifestations of this image appear to become more frequent as the number of living victims increases. Manifestations of the image appear to become more frequent as the number of living victims increases, as the implementation of Protocol XXJ9 reports of manifestation dropped significantly. Don't know what that protocol is, but thanks. Tests show that including the colorblind, this SCP does not affect the majority of people who view it. It is estimated that under 40% of those exposed to SCP-2774 are actually affected. This percentage is also directly affected by the number of living victims. When subject to the photo's effects or image effects, victims appear to move normally based on muscle memory, albeit with slowed reaction times. They are very passive and compliant with personnel, willing to answer basic questions and follow commands, though they display a lack of emotion. While they appear conscious, victims cannot control their actions in any way during this time. Victims, upon entering the 150 seconds of lucidity, are often highly agitated and fearful. Victims may act irrationally while lucid. Those affected report complete memory of time spent without cognitive function, but no ability to comprehend their actions or affect them in any way. Upon initial realization of regained cognitive abilities, most express dread upon realizing the permanence of their situation. In numerous instances, those affected by this SCP report observing the SCP, or the image of it, while their body is acting autonomously. Perception of reality appears to be lost during that time. Subjects are to be considered unstable when conscious and are not to be approached at any time. Those who have been resettled at Site-116 have displayed an affinity to the SCP-277-A. Art, literature, and effigies of this SCP can commonly be found hoarded in the corners of subjects' rooms. All objects are presumed to have been created while unconscious. Any such items are to be removed and incinerated, and their creators terminated, along with any subjects seen emulating SCP-2774-A. So if you become affected by this SCP, you begin to be obsessed with it.
And see it while you're, running autonomously.
Yeah. And you start making stuff, writing stuff, doing stuff, and creating these images or these, like they said, effigies, right? Of this SCP. And these things start affecting other people, I assume, because then they're like, you need to destroy these things, including the ones that make them. I just think that's so extreme. And because of how widespread it is and how they can't control it, that's what makes it dangerous. So, nice.
It's a good one. Well written. The danger's dangerous.
Sloths. Dangerous.
Indeed. Pictures of sloths just avoid them entirely, although they're very, very cute.
They're very, very cute.
All right. Good stuff, Robin. I want to go ahead and thank everyone who wrote the SCP stories. They're fantastic. If anyone has a suggested SCP, we have a few of them that I see in the Discord that get added to the list. Please feel free to reach out to us. You can either email pastatime@scarish.com or just go to our website, scarish.com, click on Contact Us, fill out that form. It comes directly to us. While you're on the website, if you would prefer to join the Discord, we have a topic suggestion channel there as well. So just click the link on the website. There's a ticker that runs by and it says join us in Discord. Click that. It'll take you directly to our Discord. Aside from that, you can hit us up on our social medias. Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter is @scarishpod. And Instagram is @scarishpodcast. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast. Those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1. At $1, you get every episode, so you can't really go wrong there. And if you're not into the monthly donation type thing, you can go to Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast. All your donations help us a whole bunch. So thank you, everybody who's been helping us through this whole entire time.
Yeah, it is very helpful. Thank you so much. We are so happy to have people that are so supportive in our lives.
Yeah.
Y'all are amazing. But that is everything we have for this episode. So I guess, Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.